So my name is Joe Kempton. I'm a 3D printing analyst at Canalys. Canalys is an independent analyst company. We do market research into many different areas such as smartphones, tablets and PCs. And 3D printing is a really exciting area, so we're looking now more into the way that the market's evolving and how new players are coming in and disrupting the market in a really exciting way. I think one of the most interesting parts of the market today is the involvement of the SLA business. So stereolithography has really changed in the past couple of years. You've had companies like Formlabs come into the market and really disrupt how people think about SLA, particularly in the desktop market, coming in at very low price points, providing high quality, accurate models for both companies and consumers. What we have seen is, on top of that, other companies such as XYZ Printing coming in with even cheaper models, trying to target the prosumer band of consumers and enterprises who are looking to spend less money, but perhaps the results there might not be so accurate for them. So it's really interesting to see what will happen in the future, especially with Autodesk having moved in with Ember 3D printer. Autodesk aren't really that bothered about how well the Ember sells because they're using it as a way to expand their Spark platform. So we're excited to see where this market goes, particularly with Carbon 3D moving in with its incredibly fast way of 3D printing. The results are yet to be seen about the level of quality, but we really expect the SLA market to kick off in the future. It will be interesting to see whether we have a similar situation as we have in the FDM market, whether there is a sort of race to the bottom and we have many competitors moving in at very low price points. I think what's interesting is that the technology is significantly harder to replicate with SLA than FDM, which should give the vendors who are currently in that space a lot of time to prepare for any impending arrivals of rivals. But particularly vendors who are involved in the FDM space and who are seeing their margins becoming thinner and thinner, they may be looking to branch out into the SLA space as well. Yeah, so I think the disruption will affect every industry really. I think nowhere is safe from 3D printing, particularly when it comes to established ways and systems and processes of doing things. All industries have been touched by it in some way. I think when you're talking about perhaps the dental and medical industries, you're seeing such a clear example of the direction that the industry is moving. It is as some people put it, a quiet revolution. So it's been slowly creeping into many different areas of these industries. It's not there hasn't been a sudden change, but I think more and more you're seeing industries and market leaders realise the potential of 3D printing and wanting to use it in their industries as well. And especially with a market leader like HP moving in at the end of 2016, I think that's really going to be a strong signal to many key market players who haven't considered 3D printing yet to go ahead and use 3D printing in the future for in areas which they haven't even considered. I think the interesting thing about that is that in the logistics industry you have so much money dedicated towards shipping and transportation, and 3D printing allows localized manufacture of very very simple products to be created within just in sort of hubs, just a few hours away from where they're needed. I think the issue perhaps currently with the state of 3D printing is that the technology isn't quite there in terms of the speed and the quality of the materials to produce really highly accurate, detailed products on a really reliable basis. And I think that's probably holding it back from being able to really revolutionise the logistics industry. Some people have talked about the possibility of putting 3D printers on trucks or even on boats, but with the sort of how delicate 3D printers can be and how delicate the print heads can be, just a small jam or something that really disrupts that production. So I don't think it's going to have serious long-term implications on the logistics industry for a while. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see how 3D printing has been affected in terms of legality issues. And I think that one of the key problems is that no one really knows how to tackle these issues or whether it's even worth tackling them, because a lot of 3D printing is just done, these sort of legal issues are mainly consumers in their own households producing knockoff objects or creating copyrighted objects, and I think for the majority of businesses it's not worth their time to investigate these or to take action against them. I think what is concerning for these companies is perhaps the rise of companies, particularly in Asia and Greater China, as they move towards becoming more heavily involved in 3D printing, and the lines become a little bit more blurred, and the legality issues become increasingly more difficult to control. Yeah, so it's a key issue for many of these Western countries to try and bring manufacturing back to their countries, and you've seen countries like the United States and the UK make serious drives to try and bring manufacturing back. I think 3D printing definitely offers that as a potential, but it is all about ensuring that the skills difference between a country like the United States and Asian countries remains significantly far apart, so that these countries have the advantage to keep the skills in their country. With what we've seen with a lot of, for example, Greater China moving towards replicating ideas that we've seen in 3D printing systems and processes that we have coming out of more sort of Western country vendors. It's not hard to see that sort of shift that we're hoping that these countries are hoping to come back to their home soil is going to be eroded again by these Asian countries building back up their own expertise as well, and providing it at a cheaper rate as well. And if they can do it at a faster speed, then there will be no difference there. So I suppose one of the biggest limitations of 3D printing today is the lack of materials. And not just the lack of materials, but being able to print in multiple materials at the same time. And what we've seen and heard some really exciting stuff from HP about being able to manipulate materials at a very minute level. So looking at voxels and changing the elasticities, the strengths, and the conductivity of each sort of voxel, which is really exciting for the future. Whether they can come out with materials that really can do what they say is another matter. But HP with their history of material science there really has the opportunity to revolutionise the industry. But again, that's just talking about the different agents that they use. So when you're talking about materials and other materials like metals, for example, they will always be extremely expensive, and you still have issues around printing with metals, such as the fact that they're highly explosive as well. So those issues will always remain, and it's just another challenge for engineers to overcome. I think it's already happening, really. I mean, so according to Canalys research, we believe that the largest shipment vendor in the world is XYZ Printing, which is a Taiwanese-based company, and they are, they have a very low-cost 3D printer, a range of 3D printers from FDM and SLA as well, and their sales really back up the point that there is an untapped consumer market there who is looking for that sort of sub $500 price point 3D printer which they can use in the home. And I think as we come to the Q4 period as well now, I think we'll see a big ramp up in sales as well. Just walking around shows like this, you see ever more companies from Asia that you've never heard of before, and suddenly they're making incredible sales. Like Shining 3D, who I just met with today, they became the second largest 3D printing vendor in the world last quarter, just simply because Autodesk ordered 6,200 printers from them. So when you have some burst of shipments like that, suddenly the whole game changes, and a vendor can come out of nowhere to become a really a leading vendor in terms of shipments. But in terms of quality, it's not necessarily the same as you